I'm already so humbled. Right, little Benji? This is my first week of trying to do specific tasks that will level up my business. If I'm being fully transparent, it's Friday and we haven't started task number 1 yet. And it's kind of like a big task. So that's how this is going. If you're not caught up, definitely go watch this video, but the TLDR is that I'm doing a 3-month sort of personal business challenge to try to make a remarkable, notable difference in my business, specifically in my income as a creator. Last year, my income was 80% brand deals, and this year I'm really hoping to shrink that percentage a little bit, not by making less money, but by making more in another category. And so I have 12 different tasks listed out as inspired by a tweet from Roberto Blake, and my hope is in that tackling one of these tasks every week, hopefully diversify my income and make my creator business even more sustainable. So this week I'm supposed to do a task that will help me increase my monthly recurring revenue or income. But to do that, you need to know how much you're making every month. Cat butt. And so I feel like this week turned into a whole other side quest because I needed to figure out my income tracking. This is something I've been working on and getting better at every single year. I think there's a theme whenever I've talked about my total income or expenses for the year. There's always this part where I'm like, I had to go back throughout the entire year and pull out this information because I did not have it nice and easily, readily accessible like I should have. Completely forget that I do have tools like QuickBooks and stuff to help me with this, but those do require that you mark that income as like business income as it comes in. And I haven't been doing that. And then when I opened up QuickBooks to, catch up on the past 5 months, it told me that the connection with my bank was broken and that it was temporarily out of service. Oh. And so yesterday I sat down and said, this is the day we're finally going to have your perfect financial income tracker spreadsheet. I always dreamed of having one that was like my month-to-month income broken down into like brand deals, affiliate income, ad revenue. And then I wanted it to like somehow auto-populate my totals in each of those categories for the month, as well as be able to pull it into an annual tracker. But I don't have those Excel skills, but you know who does? ChatGPT. So I asked ChatGPT to make me a spreadsheet, and it did. It was really buggy though, but I kept refining my feedback and I would tell it everything that was wrong, and it would say, okay, yeah, let me look at it and try again. Let me look at it and try again. And it eventually made me a spreadsheet that was incredibly usable. So that was great. Then I had to put the income in, and then because QuickBooks wasn't working, I literally went through my online banking and went and scrolled through it all the way back to January to figure out what had been deposited into my account. So then after literal hours spent putting everything into this spreadsheet, I finally was able to see my monthly income. Again, I found this quite humbling because it was quite clear that there is no consistency in my monthly income. January, I'm not gonna lie, is probably a little incorrect because I could only scroll back to January like 31st in some of my accounts. I'd have to log into my desktop to see any earlier. I don't have time for that right now. February, we did 5,000, March, 12,000, April down to 6,000, May, 7,000. And my primary income source also isn't very predictable. Some months I'm making most of my money through brand deals, others it's primarily through commercials. And so what are our options to have a little bit more of a consistent and predictable income? Because I think the idea behind monthly recurring revenue is that you have an idea of what your baseline is going to be each month, because there's kind of like a minimum that you know is going to be coming in. For example, I think for me right now, especially because I've been pretty consistent on YouTube, I kind of know at the very least I'm going to receive about $200 a month on YouTube. I've definitely had the spikes, I've had the 600 and the 800, but as of yet anyway, I haven't had anything below 200. So I can kind of think, okay, that's like my minimum, that's my baseline. So what's the game plan? Because next week's task is to create a new income stream. I'm being very careful to not have this week's task involve creating another income stream, because I think that is kind of one of the clearest ways to increase your monthly revenue. But I have a really exciting one for next week. In my initial brainstorming, I wrote down I could maybe make more videos, and I wrote in brackets, good ones, because when I do a video that targets a wide audience and is high performing, I make more ad revenue. In February, I got paid out for January, and I had some really strong videos, so I made $600. Then my videos got a little bit more niche again. I had a $240 month, a $300 month, and then I had another hit of a wide appealing video, and I had an $800 month. And so I think that at the very least, trying to do one video a month out of the 4 I do a month that I know will appeal to a wider audience is something that I think will help me make more money overall. I wrote down more blog posts because I do make a very teensy bit on ad revenue from my 2 blogs. But right now we're only looking at about like $20 to $30 a month. And the rules there are similar to a YouTube payout where you only get paid out when you cross the $100 mark. So a task I could do this week could be to like batch out a bunch of blog posts to try to get the volume up to get more money there. I also wrote down that I could do more affiliate driven content. Affiliate income is like definitely one of my smallest income sources, but if I did a couple YouTube videos or blog posts that were really centered around a product or a service that I use and love and am an affiliate for, I could potentially drive like some more targeted traffic to those websites, maybe some sales, and could get some money that way. And then finally, I wrote pitching with a question mark because yeah, it's always an option to pitch brands instead of just, waiting for them to come to you. Especially when I think a lot of my core strategy around like attracting brand deals is posting on Instagram intentionally and consistently. And I haven't really been doing that. And I always see like a direct line between like how many opportunities I'm getting, how many maybe invites I'm getting to something. It's like a direct correlation to how much I'm posting on Instagram, and we haven't been posting. So I could also just start posting more, but that is much more of a long game. Like I said, it's Friday and I have a conference all day tomorrow. And then I try not to work Sundays. So what is the best bang for my buck? Okay, I decided after much thought that the best use of my limited time this week is going to drafting, like fully scripting out 3 banger YouTube videos, maybe 4 for a buffer. Even though YouTube AdSense is incredibly unpredictable, I do think it's one of the existing revenue streams I have that I actually have the most control over. And I also think it's the income stream that's like the most at jeopardy, especially since I'm doing like this challenge and I might be posting every 2 to 4 weeks. This video series I'm doing does not have wide appeal. And though I think it's very valuable and will resonate with the people that watch it, it's not going to be a video that hits like thousands of people. And who knows, it could potentially also like reduce my reach of other videos. I don't know. YouTube is temperamental. But all that being said, I think it's like even more important that I put out really strong, like wide appealing videos to counteract these and keep scaling my AdSense. So far I have brainstormed like 4 potential ideas. I want these to be a mix of videos that are either like just super clickable, they're going to entice so much curiosity where it's like people didn't even know that they needed to watch that video, as well as some that are like super evergreen and maybe even search-based. Like those will be ones that might not do that well at the start, but will hopefully help, again, scale that monthly income as they continue to build up an audience. Also, side note, I've been really disappointed by like how consistent YouTube really wants you to be. I find that when I'm posting once a week on the dot, and then even if I sprinkle like an extra video in, YouTube pushes out like all my videos pretty strongly to like the browse page. But the moment I go like 8 days without posting or dare I say 2 weeks, everything plummets. All of the stuff that was doing numbers on like browse just jumped off a cliff. So I think it is like incredibly valuable for me to like have some of these videos planned out far in advance, have them scripted out in advance, so I just have to sit down and film them and structure and package them in a way that I know that they will like hopefully hit pretty hard. We'll see.